So I have made many videos at this point on how to find jobs for anthropology majors in general, and yet I still get a lot of comments asking for job ideas for archaeology majors. And I was like, no way, there's not already a video online about this topic. So I looked it up as one does, and there was literally like nothing. So I'm so sorry that I haven't created this video sooner, but as it says in the title, today we are going to be talking about job ideas for archaeology majors. Like I said before, how it's possible that this video hasn't been created already, I genuinely have no idea, but I'm excited to finally get that out to you guys now. But if you aren't familiar with me already, hello, my name is Alivia Brown, and I am currently a fourth-year undergraduate student at UCLA studying anthropology. And I make videos about anthropology every single Sunday, including archaeology, of course, so feel free to check any of those other videos out. But now let's dive into those archaeology job ideas, and I'm really excited to share with you guys some things that you could do in the future. Now, I think one of the biggest concerns that people have when it comes to studying archaeology is this idea of what jobs can I get in the future, right? I feel like with any degree, that's something that you have to be thinking about. And so the first job idea that I want to recommend to you guys is becoming an academic researcher. And academic researchers on average make about $64,000 per year. Now, academic researchers generally do research with the intent to publish whatever it is that they are researching. Now, in the context of archaeology, I feel like it's really easy to assume that in order to be an archaeological researcher, you have to be out in the field. And while this is one way that archaeological research does get done, there are so many other types of research that you could be doing. One of them is doing a meta-analysis on papers that have already been published, and basically you would compare a series of papers about a similar topic. Another thing that you can do is actually reuse or reanalyze old collections and publish research on that. If you look back on the actual sites and analysis, a lot of times there's a lot of problems with that analysis. So if you wanted to be the one to go back and reanalyze these older collections, that is definitely something that's on the table too. And you don't have to go out and find the bones or the materials. Now, if you are in college or even in high school, I'm sure you're already quite familiar with the academic researcher option. So we're going to switch gears a little bit. And the next job opportunity that I want to talk about is becoming a conservator. And conservators make about $43,000 per year on average. Now, often you find conservators in the museum space, but you can find them in other places. And generally speaking, the main roles of museum conservators are the maintenance of artifacts and material culture that gets brought to the museum. Now, as you guys probably know, when you dig up these artifacts, they're usually very old. And when things are old, that means they're prone to breakage, they're prone to damage. And it's really important for archaeologists and therefore conservators to preserve these material remains that we find. And this actually takes a very specialized set of skills. You learn a lot on exactly how to protect and conserve physical items that get found. And how you might protect one artifact is actually very different from how you would protect and maintain another artifact. Now, this next position I'd actually never heard of before, but I guess I knew it had to exist, and that is becoming a historic building inspector, and these people make about $65,000 per year on average. Now, just like anything you dig up from the archaeological record, there are also structures and landscapes that are representative of our history and deserve to be protected. And so what happens is after a building or a home per se has been constructed for a long time, this question presents itself on, is this a piece of history? Is this a piece of culture that we should be protecting? And you guys may or may not have been to historic neighborhoods. I know that where I'm from, there are some historic neighborhoods, and you'll walk through and houses actually have plaques saying this home is protected by the historic something rather of San Diego. And basically you can't tear it down. It's protected. It's super great. And you actually get to see these buildings and these landscapes that have been there for a very long time. Switching back over into the museum space, once again, another job opportunity that you guys could pursue as archaeology students is becoming a museum curator. And museum curators make on average about $61,000 per year. Now, this one is probably the most intuitive in the sense that museum curators do exactly what the job title sounds like. You curate exhibits for the museum, and basically it is your responsibility to construct these collections that the public is going to be interacting with. Now, I think something that gets easily forgotten, in addition to the fact that the exhibits that you put on display have to be well researched and historically accurate, but you also want to make sure that these exhibits are doing their job interacting with the public. So if you have a plaque on display that's really dense and isn't written in a common language, the public's not going to gain anything. Not everyone going to your museum is an archaeologist and has that same background knowledge as you do. So if you decided to become a museum curator, not only do you need to be really educated on whatever that exhibit is, but you also need to have an idea of how you actually want to present that information to the public in a fun and engaging way. Now, I very intentionally put this position towards the end of the list because I feel like if I said this first, all y'all archaeologists would be heated. And the position that I'm going to share with you guys is becoming an archaeologist. And archaeologists make about $58,000 per year. And I know a lot of you clicking on this video probably already know that that's an option, right? So I'm going to talk about this one very briefly. Now, basically, your job as an archaeologist is the finding, the preserving, and the presenting of the material culture that you find during archaeological excavations. You often are a key participator in the digs that happen, and it's also really important, in addition to doing the actual digs, that you share and present what you found with people. Now, the last set of jobs that I want to share with you guys right now is actually pulled from the California State Parks website. So I actually have that pulled up on my computer, so I'm going to look down at that really quickly here. But you have a few fun options. You could become an archaeological aide, where you basically assist on digs on a seasonal basis. So this is a very temporary position, but it's still a really great way to build your resume as an archaeologist. I think that's a really hard thing, is actually finding those positions. And then another one that's on here is becoming an archaeological specialist. And basically, archaeological specialists actually process what has been found during these excavations. And this could be in the field or in a lab. It really does depend. Okay, so now that I've shared with you guys those archaeology job ideas, the last thing that I wanted to throw into this video is what it would actually look like to be looking for jobs as an archaeology student. So I'm going to have this link in the description box down below. But basically, I am on Indeed right now, which is just like a job hunting website. This is not sponsored. I'm literally just a student trying to make it in the world. So I'll pull up my computer screen on here so you guys can see it. But basically, I have typed in here what archaeology and where Los Angeles. And I show this to you guys because I want you to get a realistic idea of what kinds of jobs are actually available. So if I wanted to pursue archaeology positions where I currently live, which is Los Angeles, these are the kinds of things that would pop up. So one of them is a cultural resources monitor, archaeological technician, archaeological field technician. Ooh, there's one at UCLA, which, like I said, is where I go to school. Whoop, whoop. You could become an archaeological collections manager. And this just keeps going and going. So obviously different positions require a different amount of background experience. I'm not going to get into that super deeply right now, but I just want to show you guys that there are positions out there, okay? They do exist, and I know a lot of you have doubt. I get it. I understand. I'm an anthropology student too. So yes, that is all I actually have to say today on job opportunities for archaeology students. There are definitely more out there, so if you guys want a part 2 to this video, please do let me know. I know some of these positions that I mentioned today are a little bit more intuitive. They were a little bit more straightforward, so if you want me to get even more creative, just let me know in the comment section down below. And I hope you guys are just having a fantastic Sunday. So I will see everybody next week. All right, you guys. Bye.